'Cause you run to me, you cover me. I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you, you alone.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home.
I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you, you alone.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. You are standing
first, you're the alpha, maker of the earth. By your word, you created life out of the dirt. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. All the sea, all the land shows your glory, tells of who you are. It's the love of the Maker, shaping who we are. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth.
I'm so grateful for your patience, all the ways you carry me. You have always left a light on, so I can see. You wait for me.
I'm invited to the table. You are saving me a seat. In your house I know I'm worthy, 'cause you died for me. You set me free.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home.
I'm so thankful for your kindness. Your forgiveness when I'm weak. With open arms I am accepted. As you run to me, you cover me. I forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is
Hey everyone, welcome to Church at Home.
Yes, hello, and special mention to those who are tuning in for the first time. We're stoked to have you with us, and we'd love to know a little bit more about you. So make sure you say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're from.
Yes, we
And
want to know all the things, don't
everything
we?
about you.
We're a
Your
very
favourite
friendly
food,
bunch.
Favorite colour. Yeah, we're not stalkers, but appropriate amount of information.
We are appropriately friendly. And there's lots of ways that you can connect into this community if you'd like. We have life groups, which is people just doing life together throughout the weeks. There's play groups, which is for babies and kids and parents. We have an active ministry with heaps of fun ways to get moving. So if you're keen to get involved or you just want to hear a bit about these things, sign up for church news and follow us on socials.
Yeah, so good. And hey, we love being generous here. It's a big part of who we are, and we see it as our privilege and our joy. And thank you so much to everyone who faithfully gives each week. You are making a massive difference in this community. And if you'd like to get involved in giving, you can do that using the details provided.
Yes. And hey, how can we be praying for you this week as well? Our prayer team would love to confidentially pray alongside you.
Yeah.
So you can even request a call, but just let us know in the link via the details how we can support you in prayer.
Yes. And this week, Rick is continuing our series with becoming a lover of generosity.
Love this. I'm so excited for this one.
good topic.
But first, let's get to our feet. We're going to worship.
Yeah.
Why don't you jump to your feet and worship with us? We will dance in the joy of the Lord, for you are the victory. At the precious name of Jesus, every chain is broken free. We will sing, we will shout at the top of our lungs. You have walked us through the night. So now every generation will walk by faith and not by sight. Hey! We will dance in the joy of the Lord, for you are the victory. At the precious name of Jesus, every chain is broken free. We will sing, we will shout at the top of our lungs. You have walked us through the night. So now every generation will walk by faith and not by sight. All our praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. All our praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. You are the God of endless hope. Yeah. We will run in the light of the sun. We will walk in all your ways until every heart awakens to the glory of your face. We will go to the ends of the earth to declare that Christ is King, to be light into the darkness so that every soul will see. All our praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. All our praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. Hope is rising. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your promise, everyone. Greater things are yet to come. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your promise, everyone. Greater things are yet to come. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your
sing praises to the Lord our God, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth. Why don't you join with us? You're the Alpha, maker of the earth. By your word, you created life out of the dirt. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. All the sea, all the land shows your glory, tells of who you are. It's the love of the Maker, shaping who we are. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift up praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth.
For many years, I had the privilege of knowing the ambassador for Taiwan in Papua New Guinea. Mr. Hu and his wife became friends of the Gateway Children's Fund. And on many occasions, they were very generous to our school and they always asked after it. They're gracious people and they serve their country with excellence. Now, an ambassador is a diplomat of the highest rank, and they are sent by their king or their government to another nation to represent them. Their work is actually referred to as a mission, and they're there to build relationships and to form agreements. And they are also there to clarify the values of their king or government to this new nation. They, if you like, speak and act as if they were the king. If you're a follower of Jesus like me, you're called to be his ambassador in the world. We're called to speak and act like Jesus. In fact, we're called to speak and act for Jesus. And when people see us, they should see what he values. So I guess the question for us all is, what do people see in our life? How well do we represent Christ? Well, there are several characteristics that many of you would know that mark out a follower of Jesus. You know, things like love and grace and such. But today I want to focus on the characteristic of Jesus, which is generosity. According to Jesus, giving to others and generosity of spirit are essential acts of faith. They're not options. And so disciples of Christ are in process of becoming lovers of generosity. Well, a few years ago, I had a phone call at home late at night from a man who was in need. He said that he had run out of petrol in his car. He had to go to work tomorrow or he would lose his job, and he was wanting me to give him some money. Well, our church policy for a long time has been we don't actually give money to people, but we help them. So I said, okay, I'll meet you at the service station in Frankston and I'll fill up your tank, which he agreed to do. Now, on my way in to Frankston, I started having second thoughts about this. You know, was I being set up? You know, was this guy really in genuine need? And then I realised I'd picked the time and place, so maybe it was going to be okay. So I got there and I paid $70 to have his tank filled up. And he asked me for the church address so that he could, at some time in the future, pay it back. So I gave him my details. He took off. I forgot to ask his name. He forgot to come back and pay it. It left me a little bit unsettled. Now, I had helped a fellow human being, but he looked a bit dodgy. And, you know, had I been duped out of money? I guess I'll never know. But I was called to help him, and I did. I thought about that story this week as I was preparing to talk to you about generosity. And I realised that in my heart, and perhaps in your heart, there are things that we believe that shape how we handle money, how we think about money, how we think about others and about giving. And many of these things actually prevent us from living and giving as Jesus would want. They're kind of lies that the world tells us. And they can lead to false attitudes that we have and even to inaction. And of course, as a follower of Jesus, that's not good. And Jesus said, the truth will set you free. So I thought we'd look at today a few things that are not true about money and things that are true about money from God's perspective. So there are some false beliefs that block generosity. There are probably many of them. I've just thought of a few. The first one is God helps those that help themselves. I can still hear my grandmother saying that to me. Now, many people believe that that's a Bible verse. It's not. It was actually a quote from Benjamin Franklin, who was one of the founding fathers of the United States. Now, he was a scientist and a politician. As far as I've been able to determine, he was not a confessed follower of Christ. Now, this God helps those who help themselves is a false idea. You know, it's like God only helps those who get their act together and work hard. But is that, when we think about it, is that really the God that we want? What about the poor? What about the innocent? What about those with disability? You see, this belief comes from a judgmental mindset. It's a barrier to generosity, and it's not true. The second thing that I found was a false belief is, if I give things away, I'll have less for me. Now, this false belief says that there's only so much to go around, and it kind of sounds logical. So therefore, we use our money based on a belief that is really about limited supply. And by doing that, we're letting money control our life. But how does that belief sit with any definition that we would have of God? Like, do we think his supply is limited? I mean, he's God after all, okay? But this belief comes from a scarcity mindset. It's a barrier to generosity, and it's not true. The third false belief is, well, what I have is mine for my benefit. Now, this false belief teaches us that the things that we possess, our time, our talent, our treasure, they belong to us, and we should be able to use them just any way that we want. It's like, I earned it, I deserve it, and I'm entitled to it. Now, if you're a follower of Jesus, you've probably already realised that this attitude gives little or no thought for the needs of others and what role, as a Christian, we might play. You see, what I have is mine comes from an entitlement mindset. It's a barrier to generosity, and it's not true. Now, I'm going to discuss those three principles a lot more in the Going Deeper section of the Belonging series. So if you want to jump onto YouTube or click the link below, you'll be able to see that. You can also get a video of that in the church news email that comes out each week. I'd love you to look at it and also to discuss it in your life groups. But what about the truth that helps us become lovers of generosity? Jesus said, you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. What is that? Well, that's a big topic, but here's a few things to think about. The first truth is that God helps the helpless. It comes from a mercy mindset. In Psalms we read, God is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So God does help those who help themselves, but he also helps the helpless by his mercy. And interestingly, that help mostly comes by way of the people of God. Disciples of Christ have a mercy mindset, and so we're becoming lovers of generosity. The second truth is that there is enough for everyone. This is an abundance mindset compared to a scarcity mindset we mentioned before. Now, we can see this in many places in the Bible. In the Old Testament, there's a story of the exodus of the Jewish people, and they were moving through the wilderness towards land that God had marked out for them. But on the way, they ran out of food. And so they called upon the Lord, and he said, well, he would rain down quail for them for their evening meal and manna or bread for their breakfast every morning. And he said to them, I'm going to provide you with just enough. I don't want you to hoard it or store it up. What do you think that would be? I mean, think about it. You're in the wilderness, you've just had breakfast, but there's no more food and you're going to have to march another whole day. Will you find food again? Why wouldn't you store some up and take it with you? Well, that's because God wanted them to trust him every day. And so he gave them just enough. We can read this in the book of Exodus where it says, when they, the Jewish people, measured out what they had, everyone had just enough. Each family had just what it needed. So disciples of Christ trust God, and in that trust, they're becoming lovers of generosity. The third statement of truth that we can get from the Bible is, what I have is God's, to be used for his glory. And this is what we call a stewardship mindset. You know, there's a false narrative that says what's mine is mine, but in truth, it's what I think is mine is really God's. In the Bible, we read, everything we have has come from you, Lord, and we can only give back to you what is yours already. So God designed us to be stewards or managers, not owners. And I wonder whether he did this to protect us so that we don't become possessed by our possessions. You see, disciples of Christ are stewards first and foremost, and in that stewardship we're becoming lovers of generosity. You see, when money is involved, people's values, their beliefs and attitudes get very distorted, and I've seen this many times in my life. You know, everybody has a different view of money. Some people view money for just getting done what they need to get done. It's a resource. Some people like to use it to influence and to bless. Others like to use it to care when needed. And others, well, they like to store it up for a rainy day. And so God knows that as humans, we're all very different. But as followers of Jesus, surely we need to ask him daily, how do you want me to use what you've given me, Lord? Despite what my feelings are, despite what my personality might be. Well, there's many stories of generosity in the Bible, and this is the one that I think I love the most. Now I want to read it to you. When Jesus was at Bethany, a guest of Simon the leper, a woman came up to him as he was eating dinner and anointed him with a bottle of very expensive perfume. When the disciples saw what was happening, they were furious. "What are you doing? This could have been sold for a lot of money and handed out to the poor." When Jesus realized what was going on, he intervened. "Why are you giving this woman a hard time? She has just done something wonderfully significant for me. You will have the poor with you every day for the rest of your lives, but not so me. When she poured this perfume on my body, what she really did was anoint me for burial. You can be sure that wherever in the whole world the message is preached, that what she has just done is going to be remembered and admired." That's from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 26. You see, to Jesus, it was not the cost that was important, although clearly it was what disturbed the disciples the most. There's even some thought that, because in Jewish society it was inappropriate for a woman to approach and to touch a man without permission, this is what she'd done in a very public way, and so it was quite disgraceful. Jesus didn't see it that way. You see, it was her attitude of sacrifice and worship and blessing and the emotional intelligence she had in the moment to see that Jesus was going to his death, and so therefore she would anoint him. And that's what evoked the praise of Jesus. He noted that what she had done was wonderfully significant and it would be recounted forever. Have you ever thought, if you know the story, what was it that prompted her to do this extravagant thing? She could have blessed and worshipped Jesus in many ways, but she did this extravagant thing. Well, here's something for extra credit today, but it's not going to be on the exam. Scholars believe that this woman, her name was Mary of Bethany. Now, those of you who know the gospel story will know that Mary was the sister of Martha and Lazarus. And Lazarus was the guy that earlier on Jesus had raised from the dead. So is it surprising then that out of love and gratitude for what Jesus had done for her and for her family, brought her beloved brother back from the dead, that she would be deeply grateful and acted so extravagantly with outrageous generosity towards Jesus, knowing that he himself was going to his death? Now, scholars also say that the perfume was called nard, and this was probably worth about a year's wages in their day. So, extraordinary generosity, outrageous generosity and love. But disciples of Christ are deeply grateful for what Jesus has done for them in forgiving them, in giving eternity to their soul and empowering their life in this world. Such a huge sacrifice and price he paid for all of us. Disciples of Christ are deeply grateful. And so out of that deep gratitude, we become lovers of generosity. You see, we're all called to be generous and to live lives that are wonderfully significant for Jesus' sake. You know, many people in the world today are trying and looking for significance, you know, to be famous or to be an influencer or to be noticed. Well, disciples of Christ know that this is the way that Jesus wants us to be significant, to be wonderfully generous as we live our life for Him. You know, disciples of Christ often review how they're giving and what they're giving. It's something we've done at Gateway every year for a long time, just to see how has God blessed us and how can we pass on that blessing in generosity. If you'd like to talk to someone, please, you know, message us, send us a note or send me a direct message. I'd actually like to send you some free resources that might help you think through your generosity and what your next step would be. So, as you become a lover of generosity, may God continue to bless you.
We know God's promise is that when we draw near to Him, He draws near to us. So why don't we open our hearts for Him to do a new work in us in this place as we worship together.
Spirit sound, rushing wind, fire of God, fall within. Holy Ghost, breathe on us, we pray. As we repent, turn from sin, revival embers smoldering, breath of God, fan us into flame. We need a fresh wind, the fragrance of heaven. Pour your spirit out, pour your spirit out. Ooh.
such an awesome reminder that significance comes from living open and expansively and generously.
Yeah, so good. And if today has challenged you in your giving or has prompted you to want to look into it further, you can email finance@gateway.asn.au or you can call the office throughout the week. The team would love to chat to you through it. The bank details are there too if you're feeling keen.
Yes, it's been such an awesome morning.
Yeah.
And hey,
Yeah.
don't forget to follow us on socials and sign up for church news so that you are in the know.
Yeah, and we'll get to see you again next Sunday at 10 a.m. for church at home.
Breathe in, breathe out. Stop the endless chase. Surrender all and I rest in grace. No need to worry when I can choose to praise. I find my peace when I call out your name. Even to wildest oceans you have spoken. Here with you in this moment, you're my focus. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. You're the only thing I need. You have given life to me. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. My everything. You are my oxygen. You are my oxygen. God, every day as I inhale your love, I live by faith. 'Cause you are enough in all the noise. Jesus, you make me still. I give my heart to your perfect will. Even to wildest oceans you have spoken. Here with you in this moment, you're my focus. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. You're the only thing I need. You have given life to me. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. My everything. You are my oxygen. You are my oxygen. Even to wildest oceans you have spoken. Here with you in this moment, you're my focus. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. You're the only thing I need. You have given life to me. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. I will breathe you in. You are my oxygen. My everything. You are my oxygen. You are my oxygen. My everything. You are my oxygen.